Welcome. My name is Sherri, and I am on faculty at Highline College, and I'm here to talk about medical assisting. So what I want to do today is talk about what it's like to work as a medical assistant and what are some of the things that you do, because you might have some questions about what medical assisting is and if it's a career that might be good for you. And if it is interesting, and if you like some of the things that we're talking about today, how do I get to become a medical assistant? So the first thing I want to ask you is, has anybody in this room been to the doctor? And I'm going to, you can give me a thumbs up. Joe is raising his hand, right? I'm assuming that you have all been to the doctor. If you have been to the doctor, you have met a medical assistant. Medical assistants are those people that greet you when you go back to the room. They introduce themselves, they confirm you are who you are. What's the first question you always get asked when you go to the doctor? What's your name? They just want to make sure you are who you are. Medical assistants work with other doctors and other providers, and they are highly trained and certified. So if you've been to the doctor, you've met that person that may take you back to the room, they might put you on a scale, they might take your blood pressure and your vital signs, and they probably talk to you about what's going on and why you're there, and they update your health chart. Those are all really important things, and those are just some of the things that a medical assistant does. And I also want to remind you that if you guys have questions as we go, to raise your hand, turn on your screen, jump up and down, shout, just let me know. And I have the new version of Zoom, which automatically puts a hand in the upper left-hand corner if you wave your hands around too much, and I tend to talk with my hands, so I hope I don't question myself as we go throughout this presentation. So this is a medical assistant in the picture right here. She's taking the blood pressure of a patient, and this actually happens to be a medical assisting student at Highline College. If she was in a medical practice in a clinic, she'd be working alongside a doctor or a physician's assistant. And again, she's highly trained and she's highly certified. Medical assistants, they do things like we just talked about. They take your history. They explain what's going to happen when you meet the doctor. They get you ready to see the doctor. So that might mean making sure that you have the right gown or clothing on. They make sure that you're prepared in the right way. They might assist the physician when the physician comes in. Think back to the last time you were at the doctor. Did you have to have a blood test? Did they actually prick your finger or put a needle in your arm and draw blood? That was a medical assistant that does that. Did somebody come and talk to you if you had a cut or a surgery? Did they talk to you about how to take care of your cut? Did they talk to you about what to do when you go home? Medical assistants do all those very important things. They assist the doctor in taking care of the patient. They might tell you what medicine to take or what to eat. If you need a refill on your medicine, medical assistants can help you with that. They can help you call in your refill to the pharmacy. So they do lots of front-facing work. And when I say front-facing work, that's work with the patient who might be you or somebody just like you. All right, they make you feel good and they prepare you for your visit with the doctor. Medical assistants also do some administrative types of work. It'd be really great if we got to do always just the fun stuff of working with patients, but sometimes we need to take care of things on the back end. So medical assistants might answer the telephone for doctors, and they might help the doctor screen calls and direct calls. Screening calls is like, is this something I can answer? Is this something the doctor needs to answer? Is this something that somebody in the insurance department or the billing department needs to answer? All right, so providing support work for doctors and helping screen calls. Medical assistants also update patient medical records. So if you're taking a new medicine or if you have a change in your lifestyle, they will update your medical records. Or if you've moved to a new house or have a new email address, they can help you with the insurance forms. And this is probably not something that you have to do right now, but I can promise you in the future, when you go see the doctor, you're going to have to fill out a bunch of paperwork that says mostly who's going to pay for your doctor visit. It can be really confusing. Joe's nodding his head. It can be really confusing, and the person that can help you with that is a medical assistant. Medical assistants also help schedule future appointments. If you have to go to the hospital and have lab work done or get admitted to the hospital, they'll help you through all that process. I am going in, just happens to be on Tuesday for a minor surgery, and the medical assistant spent 20 minutes on the phone with me yesterday, making sure that I'm going to be ready for my procedure, that I eat the right food, and I have to get a COVID test, and I have to be there at a certain amount of time before, and I have to have a ride home. That's all really important things, because if those things don't happen, my surgery won't happen. The medical assistant makes sure all those things happen so that my surgery will be a success. So these are examples of the types of things that a medical assistant does in the clinic. All right. Now you might say, okay, well, that's really good, Sherri. You just told me what medical assistants do clinically and administratively, but the title of your presentation was A Day in the Life of a Medical Assistant. So let's talk about that right now, okay? A typical day in a medical assistant's life, you show up to work, and the first thing you might do is check the appointment schedule. Who's coming in today? Are there any breaks in the schedule? What do we need to do to prepare for these people who are coming in today? What kind of procedures are they going to have? Because it's your job as a medical assistant to set up the room and make sure the doctor has everything he or she needs to see the patient. So check the appointment schedule, prepare the exam room, make sure all the supplies are set up. Sometimes doctors see patients that for very different things, and it's your job to understand from the appointment schedule what's going to happen. So your job is to set out the right supplies and the tools so that the patient visit can be successful. Medical assistants also turn the room over in between patients. And let me tell you, doctors see a lot of patients. How long do you think the average doctor-patient visit is? Any ideas? Anybody want to toss something out there? You can put it in the chat. How long do you think the average doctor spends with their patients? Any guesses? Let's see. 3 to 4 hours. Oh, Joe says 3 minutes. Okay, Joe, I detect some sarcasm there. All right, it would be great if we had hours to spend with our doctor. The average doctor visit is 20 minutes. That's not very long. And so the medical assistant is a really busy person because their job is to, remember, collect the patient, check them in, get their vitals, prepare the room, turn the room over, record information. I mean, that's a lot of stuff every 20 minutes. And of course, you might not be the only medical assistant, but still, that's a lot of work. So you might also be checking to make sure that you don't run out of supplies. All right, if you need to draw blood, Band-Aids, tongue depressors, Q-tips, cotton balls, surgical tape, pipettes, test tubes, all that kind of stuff. That might be your job to make sure that you have the right inventory levels. And if it goes too low, order some more. All right, if you don't have it, the doctor can't do his job or her job. Checking patient records as they come in, reviewing medical histories, handling billing and insurance questions, interviewing patients, getting their medical history, taking patient vitals, recording lab test results, calling patients to prepare them for tests or scheduling updates, and transmitting prescription refills. These are all the things that a medical assistant does throughout the course of their day. And how do you know how to do all this? Well, you have to have some training, right? Because all that stuff, it's pretty specialized information. All right. So there is some training that goes along with being able to do all this types of work. One of the great things about medical assistants is that they have pretty flexible hours. All right. Most medical assistants work 4/10s, which means that if you're full-time, you're working 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. All right. Part-time is also an option for a lot of medical assistants. So I see something in the chat here. Yes, absolutely. If you want to become a physician's assistant, a medical assistant is a perfect way to start. That is absolutely the pathway. And we have a great physician assistant program here at the University of Washington, just right up the road in Seattle. Okay, great question. Okay, flexible hours. Many medical assistants work part-time and not full-time, but full-time employment is definitely out there. This is one of the highest demand jobs in healthcare. Job growth has been estimated to be nationwide 18% between 2020 and 2030. And in the job world, that's a big number. Okay, that is a lot of medical assisting jobs that are going to be available. I would suspect that number is even higher here in the Seattle area because our population is growing faster than the national average. The more people you have, the more people that need to go see the doctor, the more doctors you have, the more medical assistants you need. All right. Many healthcare organizations here locally are offering hiring bonuses because there is a shortage of medical assistants here in the Puget Sound area. So lots of job growth, really flexible hours. I know you haven't asked it yet, but I know you want to know, how much am I going to get paid? All right. This is job data for the Pacific Northwest. All right. So the numbers are regional, which is really good because our cost of living here is a little bit higher than other parts of the country. So the average certified medical assistant is starting at about $21 an hour here in the Puget Sound area, often with a hiring bonus. All right. A more experienced medical assistant can gain upward. This is 23, but I know a lot of experienced medical assistants who are getting paid $25 and more per hour. All right, and these are full-time jobs with benefits. Okay, so now we talked about what medical assistants do, a day in the life of a medical assistant. We've talked about flexible work hours, kind of working conditions, how much you might get paid. And you might want to know, okay, how do I become a medical assistant? Medical assistant requires state certification. And the reason that you have to be certified is because these are important responsibilities with patients and you don't want to screw it up, right? You don't want someone to draw your blood and miss the vein in your arm. That would be bad, okay? You don't want them to misread the scale and report that you weigh 50 pounds more than you really do. And these are, you don't want a bad blood pressure, okay? So they do important work. And the reason, so that's why we have certification, to make sure that all people who work as medical assistants meet a minimum standard of competency, all right? You want to know when you go to the doctor that this person that you're talking to, your medical assistant, meets a minimum level of effectiveness. Same thing with your doctor. I don't think you want to go see a doctor that didn't go to medical school, right? I would think so. So certification. You can get certified as a medical assistant a couple of different ways. You can get certified at a school like Highline College or Seattle Central College, a couple other colleges in the area, through a 2-year program. The great thing about getting your education and getting certified through a college like Highline is that you are fully eligible for all financial aid packages because we're a public college. You get a well-rounded education. In other words, we teach you how to think critically and problem solve, and it's college level classes. So you earn college level credit. When you're done, you have a college degree. You don't just have some classes, you have a college degree, and then you sit for your medical assisting certification and you are a certified medical assistant. And it takes about 18 or 24 months. Okay, assuming that you don't have to take any prerequisites like for English or anything like that. Okay. The other route is, I'm sure you've heard there's a lot of advertisements these days. You can go to a private school like PIMA. All right, PIMA is a very popular option for medical assisting because their program is shorter. You can get certified as a medical assistant in a little over 9 months. Now you might say, well, why wouldn't I do that? Why would I want to spend 2 years at a community college or a 2-year college when I can go to Pima and get it done in 9 months, right? Well, the big reason, and it is faster, right? It is definitely faster, but you don't get a college degree, right? You get a certificate and you get to sit for your medical assisting certification, and you can work as a medical assistant, but you don't get a college degree. And I think that's kind of important, right? In the big picture, to have a degree, it's kind of a big thing. And you're not eligible for the full financial aid package that you would be if you went to a public educational institution like Highline or Green River or Renton Voc Tech or any of the other colleges around the area, okay? But it does only take 9 months, and that's because they will teach you the medical assisting classes only. All right, that's why, because you're not earning a degree. So that's the big difference. But either way, you will be prepared to take the credentialing exam through the state of Washington so that you can go out and work as a certified medical assistant. And then someday, if you wanted to, move along and become a physician's assistant. It's a great pathway. Okay, that was a lot of information. I talk really fast. Any questions that there's questions in the chat. Okay. I never even thought about someone missing with a blood draw. Yeah, it happens. All right. And I also want to say, sometimes medical assistants can specialize. All right, the ones that I've been talking about are at your general practitioner's office, like your family care doctor or your internist, and they're sort of general. But if you go to the eye doctor, or if you go to a nerve doctor, or if you go to a very specialized doctor, they can train medical assistants to actually work on very specialized pieces of equipment. An example of this, I just went to the eye doctor a couple weeks ago, and I had to have some pictures taken of the nerves inside my eye, and a medical assistant actually ran this very highly specialized piece of equipment that took the pictures of my eye. So medical assistants can specialize and do other things. Can the 2-year degree be applied toward a 4-year degree at the UW? Not at the University of Washington. All right. Medical assistants with an AAS degree, I'll put that in the chat. This is the degree that you would get if you went to a 2-year college, is an Associate of Applied Science. There are pathways to bachelor's degrees with an AAS degree, but not at the University of Washington. Western Governors University, Bellevue College, there's a couple other colleges in the area where you could transition with the AAS degree into a 4-year bachelor's degree. Do specialists make more money? Yes. Just like any doctor, right? You know, a doctor, a specialist makes more money than a generalist. So if you're, and it's because of training. You know, if the ophthalmologist trains you to work on all this highly specialized equipment, then you are more skilled and can demand more money. Any other questions about training or what MAs, we call them in general, MAs, what MAs do? Oh, these are just some of the other schools in this area that offer programs in medical assisting and associated degrees. Nobody's asked me yet, what is the difference between a CNA and a medical assistant and a nurse? You guys curious about that? And well, I'll tell you anyway. Okay, a nurse requires a registered nurse is a 4-year degree. All right, and so it's a much longer pathway, and it's also super competitive and hard to get into. All right, you have to take nursing prereqs and have basically a perfect 4.0 GPA to get into many nursing schools. So it's really hard. Medical assisting, much lower barriers to entry. Nurses can also administer different types of medication that medical assistants can't do. So there's a lot of controlled substances like narcotics and things like that nurses can work with that medical assistants can't. And nurses can also, what they call triage. I'll put that word in the chat. All right, triage means that nurses can decide where to send patients. All right, so if you called a clinic and you were having some symptoms and you weren't quite sure what to do or where to go, a nurse would listen to you and say, I think you need to go to the emergency room, or I think you can wait and come in and see us next week, or I think you need to come in 3 months from now, don't worry about it, kind of thing. So nurses can determine how essential it is that you come in right away, and they can triage you, which is something that a medical assistant cannot do. CNA, certified nursing assistant, is that's only a 12-week program, and it's really short. CNAs mostly work in nursing homes and in long-term health cares. Are medical assistants and phlebotomists different? Similar. Phlebotomy is a specialty, and you can become a phlebotomist without being a medical assistant. All right, but medical assistants can do phlebotomy. Did that make sense? Okay, so medical assistants can draw blood and do everything a phlebotomist can, but a phlebotomist is not a medical assistant. There's short-term programs that you can also go to get trained in as a phlebotomist, and then your job is only to draw blood, and you get really good at it. Okay, so I was just going to tell you a little bit about CNAs. They do a lot of times more physical labor than medical assistants do because they're working in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. They work directly for nurses. All right, medical assistants don't work for nurses. Medical assistants work for the doctor. Here's some links, some websites, if you guys want to take a screenshot of this. If you want to find out more about healthcare in general, there's some of these websites up here, general healthcare stuff, healthcare at Highline College, which is where I work. So it's important to me. And these are two medical assistants. Laurel and Diana are actually certified medical assistants that teach at Highline College. And they do it because they believe in their profession and they love it and they want to share it with all of you. Could a medical assistant work while the MA can attend a four-year college and advance to their specialty career? It seems like it could build a foundation while going to college. Yeah. So if you did your medical assistant certification and then you wanted to continue your education, definitely. If you wanted to continue with a BAS degree, a Bachelor of Applied Science, that is absolutely a possibility. I'll put this in the chat also. The pathway from an AAS degree is to a BAS degree. Okay, so it's just a slightly different kind of bachelor's degree. There's a number of different colleges around the state that offer BAS degrees in lots of different disciplines. So you could get an AAS degree in medical assisting and then work while you're pursuing your BAS degree. A lot of people, sorry?
Oh no, I was just going to ask, is that something that that would look really good on an application if you eventually went to medical school as a graduate thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you had that experience.
Well, to go to medical school today, you have to have hands-on experience doing something. They're not going to take you if you haven't done extensive volunteer work or worked as a medical assistant, or I would guess every doctor out there is a CNA, all right, because that's only 12 weeks. But they've all done some kind of intensive work in a clinic or in a hospital just to show that they're dedicated to healthcare. And it's good to get that experience, because when you're in a clinic, you understand what the life of a doctor is like at that point, right? Okay, all right. I thank you all for coming.